Welcome back to the channel. Lethal here. Today, I have a good one for you. We're going to be checking out an up and coming game that's looking like it's going to be a hit. We've been in a slump the last couple years, but this year seems to be putting them out one after another. The game we're going to be looking at is called Mortal Shell 2, and they've recently released a gameplay trailer. Let's go ahead, jump right in, and check it out. The first thing that I want to note is that this is a standalone sequel to the first Mortal Shell, but you don't have to have any understanding or have played the first one in order to get involved with this one. Now that that's covered, let's get into the gameplay. This reveal is going to showcase 3 different shells, but they've implied that there's going to be several more, both new and returning. If you're unaware of what a shell is, it's essentially the being that you possess, and each one has different skills and abilities. And if you're new to this game and still confused, don't worry, it'll be more clear as we make it further in this reveal. Now the first combat sequence that we just witnessed showcased a lot of different attacks. We had stealth abilities, melee attacks, along with projectile-based firearms. It's looking like there's going to be a wide variety of options for us to handle any scenario really as we deem fit. And it looks like we will also be able to infuse our weapons with different abilities to change the way that we inflict damage upon the enemy. If you notice the stone that they just picked up, it allows for the weapons to be infused with poison, thus giving us further control over how we handle each encounter. Another thing that was mentioned is that there won't be any form of stamina in this game, which is a little bit different because, as we all know, every game like this incorporates stamina in some form or fashion. So I really am curious as to what they're going to do in place of that. I do notice that they have this yellow bar above your health bar. I'm not sure if that's something that builds up and gives you different abilities that you can utilize against enemies or what the case is with that, but it's going to be interesting to see how they remove stamina from a game like this and incorporate a different feature. So after several combat sequences, they roll us into interacting with an NPC who has a rather odd request just to help him find his cat. But here in a moment, we're going to see what looks like a showcase of different variants of shells that we might be able to possess as we get into this game. It looks like there's going to be quite a few that we are going to have to be able to interact with. And with that, there's going to be a lot of different skills and abilities that we can incorporate into our gameplay, to include maybe even becoming a sheep. I really want to know if that is one of the options in this game, so we're going to have to figure that out. Now, the developers also mentioned that this is going to be an expansive open world, but it will also be compact out of respect for the player's time. I take that as there's going to be a whole lot of content to ingest, but they're going to take out the aimless wandering that you get in some of these bigger games. If that's the case, that's going to be phenomenal to keep you actively engaged in the game and remove a lot of the filler. And it looks like they're going to incorporate some form of a fast travel system in this game. That's almost expected, as most games nowadays come with some form of a fast travel system. But the NPC a moment ago just mentioned that not all of these are going to be readily accessible, as most of them will be defended. So it looks like we're actually going to have to fight our way through to be able to unlock these, and they're not just going to be handed to us. If you notice here, it looks like we're going to have some form of a boss. I'm not going to say an actual boss, maybe like a mini boss or a world boss. It's essentially going to block our path to said fast travel. Now, back on the topic of shells, like I said, if you're new to this game, if you notice, we just got knocked out of our shell back to our original form. So essentially, a shell is a being that you can possess, and that being has different skills and abilities that you can utilize to change the way that you play the game. To break it down even further, it's essentially this game's version of a class system where each shell would essentially be a different class that has different skills and abilities. So once an enemy defending this fast travel point is defeated, it looks like we'll be able to revitalize this beacon, as they call them, and bring them online. I think it's interesting that they chose to have these beacons basically locked behind an elite enemy that we have to defeat, because it does add a level of difficulty to be able to unlock these. You let me know what you think about that in the comments below, whether you think it's a good choice or a bad choice to lock them behind an elite enemy like that. So here they showcase how you can change your equipment at the beacon, and that includes your shell. They go through it pretty quick, so I broke it down here for the 3 that they're showcasing, but if you see, each one of them has their own different abilities that really let you pick and choose how you want to play the game.
You've come far.
Right now, they're going to show a little more in depth as to how the fast travel system will work in this game. While they're doing that, I'd like to bring up that I think they've done a pretty good job so far with the graphics. And I know we haven't seen a whole lot yet, but I think they've been successful in really hitting that dark fantasy, Souls-like vibe already. As we get further through this reveal, I think I'm starting to understand what they mean by open world but compact. It seems like as they travel, they're getting from point A to point B with purpose and from encounter to encounter with limited unnecessary travel in between. I think that's going to be phenomenal and really help keep the player engaged. I would also like to point out that the combat just seems great. If you notice here, they just pull out basically a fully automatic gun and just handle business like it's nothing. But not only that, I think the animations are really good because it seems like it's per character. They've really broke down finishing animations and made it very clean and very interactive, which I think is also, it's the small details that matter, right? And I think they've done a really good job at hitting the nail on the head with a lot of these smaller details and making it a little more interactive for the player. Throughout this reveal, we have seen a lot of different enemies of varying difficulty, a lot of different combat mechanics, but I have noticed that when they are taking hits, they're not losing a whole lot of life. So I'm curious as to how difficult this is going to be and what enemies are going to pose a challenge versus what ones are not. I have also noticed that we really haven't come across any boss encounters other than the one at the beacon. But like I said, I think that that was more like an elite enemy or, maybe like a world boss. I wish that maybe we would have been able to see an actual boss encounter, at least maybe 10-15 seconds of one, just to see what it would be like. I know here in a minute they do show several bosses or what appear to be bosses and what you may or may not be encountering at some point if you play this game. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes of those and how it turns out. But so far, so good. I don't really have a whole lot of complaints about this game. Everything looks like it's pretty well rounded and well thought out. All right. After seeing all that, is this one that you're going to add to your list? Let me know what you think about this and whether or not you want to see it on the channel in the comments below. That'll wrap it up for this one. If you haven't yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And as always, let's keep gaming. Let's have fun.